Hello and welcome to the Pollyanna Project. I'm Jessica. I'm a 33-year-old polyamorous woman, and I decided to actually create this video series because I kept getting a lot of questions from my non-poly friends asking what exactly is polyamory. Is that cheating? Is it an orgy? What exactly is this? And so I wanted to kind of help, clear up some of what poly is and what it isn't, as well as my own experiences being a poly woman. Just a little bit of background. I've been poly for quite a while, ever since I was about 19 years old. And I always let my partners know in advance that I'm a poly person. Therefore, if monogamy is what they're looking for, they can probably keep searching elsewhere. But for those who want to, experience this project, this experiment with me, a few very special people, I like to dive all in. But that aside, what exactly is polyamory? Polyamory is basically many loves. And I know that, people can say, well, what is love? But it is specifically with an emphasis, love with an emphasis on relationships, not just sex. There is a very, very, very distinct difference between polyamory and swinging. Swinging is primarily sex with a lot of partners. Maybe all at the same time, maybe individually, but polyamory is about establishing relationships with people that you could possibly love for the rest of your life. So no, it's not an all orgy all the time, free love, 60s kind of pornathon, which is how I've heard it described by some folks. It is actually a very intense and very, for me, ultimately rewarding way of life. I always tell people that I'm definitely no Betty Crocker. I'm very conservative in some ways and very liberal in others. And to that extent that I can be, I'm out with my family. They know that I'm a polyamorous woman, and my very, very evangelical Christian father thinks I'm going straight to hell for it. And my very, very conservative Catholic mom thinks that, you should probably pray the rosary about this. But you know what? I know who I am. I know what I am, how I want to live my life. And part of that is also being an advocate and bringing polyamorous people out of the shadows. The club is much, much bigger than you or I probably know. In fact, I'm rather surprised that a lot of the polyamorous people that I've met over the course of my life are really, they're just underground. And so I figured, what am I hiding for? Let's just go ahead and have an open, honest discussion about what polyamory is, what it isn't, and what people's experiences are with poly, because I'm always interested to hear other people's experiences, which may be very, very of this course. I'll be looking in the comments to see what questions you guys might have, what clarifications. I'll try to respond insofar as I can. Of course, within reason. I mean, after all, I do have a life, I do have a family I need to take care of. So I can't set any definite schedule at this juncture, but I'll definitely be looking and responding to comments and recording videos as I can. Let's just go ahead and start with some simple definitions. So polyamory is a really, really big umbrella term for multiple people involved in multiple relationships. That could be, one man to many women. It could be one woman to many men. It could be many couples to other couples. So it really depends upon each person in the relationship and what they're looking for. Within polyamory, there are subsets, different flavors of poly. There is, of course, polygyny, which is what most people think of when they think of polyamory, because people say, "Oh my goodness, isn't polyamory illegal? You can't marry more than one person." Yes, it's true. You cannot marry more than one person. Polygyny is actually what most people think of when they think of religion as tied to multiple partners, and that is generally one man to many women. And the religious part of it, I can't really sign on for, because I'm not a Christian, but I don't knock those who are, and as long as the polygyny is egalitarian and the participants are of legal age and participating of their own accord, why not? It's just another flavor. It's not the kind of poly that I am drawn to or practice, but it certainly is a very popular form of polyamory the world over. In fact, most of the world that practices polyamory is practicing polygyny, which is, of course, one man to many women. The kind of poly that I generally practice is polyandry, which is another branch of the polyamory family tree, and that is one woman to many men. And I'm actually a married woman. I am married to a trans woman, actually. My spouse is a beautiful trans lady, and she transitioned in 2014, and when I married her, she was a man. We have beautiful children together, and I care about her very, very much. But in our journey together, I've also found that I love another man with whom I have another child. It's part of our big poly family. And I've also had a boyfriend as well. So I have two what I would consider spouses, my spouse that I'm married to, as well as my second spiritual spouse. And I also have a boyfriend whom I consider to be the absolute most awesome friend. We are not currently dating, but we had a very intense relationship, and we still remain very close to this day. Will it become something in the future? Who knows? But for right now, we're just good friends. Am I interested in other parties? Eventually, maybe. I'm never really looking for anything, but I always try to keep an open mind and accept love as the universe presents it to me, and insofar as it is able to fit with my lifestyle, my partner's lifestyles. That's mainly what I practice. There's also polyamory in the sense of many couples getting together. So my boyfriend, for example, was married, and so we would actually do things as couples, not sexually, but certainly hanging out, going to dinner, wine festivals, just palling around. But I do know of many folks who actually are able to successfully have polyamorous relationships with other couples, and that has a lot more moving parts. But I really think that no matter what brand of poly you are interested in exploring or are curious about, the fundamental aspect to all of them is honesty and communication. Without those two components, forget it. It's not going to work, and it's going to crash and burn, possibly in a very, very messy fashion. So that's really the crux of it. The fulcrum is communication and honesty. After all, a lot of people, my own parents included, kind of wonder, well, isn't polyamory just cheating? No, it is not, because cheating is non-egalitarian. It's basically one person violating the trust that they have with somebody else to engage in another relationship, be it sexual, just romantic, without sex, whatever. The point is that trust was broken and they were not honest with their love. And I think that if you love someone, you owe it to them to be honest with them and honest with yourself. So, no, polyamory is not cheating. Everything is above board. Everybody knows about everything, and everybody has met everyone. And everyone is constantly communicating to make sure that needs are met, to address issues that crop up, such as jealousy. And I know that some poly people say, oh, I never get jealous. Bullshit. You get jealous sometimes. Everyone does. It's a human emotion. Just talk about it. Just communicate about what exactly you're feeling. You know, sometimes you may need more from one partner than the other. Again, that's, you know, kind of how the poly tree shakes out. But again, this is an experiment. After all our lives are experiments. What are we but human guinea pigs? And, you know, basically that's kind of what this channel is meant to do, is to explore, document, explore, and share possibly a different point of view than, you know, what many folks are used to. I know that a lot of people say, well, why isn't monogamy, you know, are you guys down on monogamy? No, not at all. In fact, for a very long time, my spouse and I were monogamous, but with the option to be open. That happens too. It really depends upon the kind of relationship you want to build with the other person in your life that you care deeply about. So again, just so long as there is communication and honesty, you know, polyamory can work just as well as monogamy can work. It's not good or bad, it's just different. And there are all kinds of people in this world. So differences definitely abound, and as long as, you know, people are, you know, able to be honest with themselves and communicate with their spouse, and hopefully they'll communicate with themselves too, there really is no conflict. So yeah, polyamory is not cheating. It's not creating an escape hatch, you know, say like, oh, lover A is really making me mad this week, therefore I'm running over to lover B. No, real relationships with lover A and lover B must stand on their own merits. If the relationship between lover A isn't working, then it's time to end the relationship with lover A. That has no impact on the relationship between lover A and lover B. It's basically your relationship to each person individually. I suppose the crux of my philosophy of polyamory is that it offers a prismatic effect on the relationship that people can have with one another. I don't think that love is a zero-sum game. There isn't a winner and a loser. There isn't somebody who bests another or triumphs over someone else, or it gets crushed under the heel of their partner or spouse. Basically, each one of the metamors that I've had fires a different facet of me. If you've ever seen a diamond shone under a light, you'll notice that there's fire and brilliance, and basically, depending upon how the light catches it, it you know, produces a beautiful rainbow. And that's kind of what polyamory is to me. Is, you know, it would be hard for me to ask my spouse to be my absolute everything, and that's a tall order for anybody. In that case, I mean, why not just have one friend? You know, there are going to be, you know, some things about my that I like to do that my spouse doesn't. Like one of my spouse does not like to go to the opera, for example. My paramour really, really loves the opera, and so we do things like go to the opera together, go to the art museum, go out to plays and musicals. My spouse and I like to geek out about networking and computing and, you know, the stuff that my paramour doesn't. Conversely, my spouse and my paramour are very, very straight-laced types and very, very serious. And my boyfriend was very goofy and silly, and so he fired that part of me, and I really appreciate all of them for the individual parts of me that they help me celebrate, So it's really not, that one detracts from the other. It's that they all add their own spice to the mix, if you will, and that's not necessarily sexual innuendo there. They help me better express who I am as a whole person, and I don't think that I would find that in any one of them. But again, there really is a multifaceted approach to polyamory that doesn't exist really in monogamy. It's not for everybody, certainly. It is a lot of work because, if you think maintaining one relationship is a lot of work, maintaining multiple relationships is even more work. But I found that for, some of the sadness and heartache, the upside has been absolutely phenomenal. So it is for me. It may not be for everyone. I'm not here saying this is what you should do or anything of that nature. Everyone must find their own way. This happens to be my way. It's a way that I love and celebrate and want to bring out of the shadows because, like I said, the club is a lot bigger than you think. It's just that many people don't feel safe coming forward. But I do, and so, again, welcome to the Pollyanna Project, and we'll go ahead and explore some of the commentary after this video is posted and kind of see where you guys want to take the conversation, and I'll respond to some of your questions. And again, be open, be honest, and live life on your terms. Take care.